Okay, that right there, that's why we stack images. That's the same target from the same camera on the same night. The only thing changing is the number of subframes in the stack, and the difference is violent. Now, if you've got a DWARF Mini, today I'm giving you a one-click pre-processing script for Siril that turns your DWARF's Astronomy folder chaos into clean, calibrated, registered, and stacked linear images that you can work with and really apply your art to. And yes, it is for free, and it's available on my website, deepskylab.org. There's a saying that the worst thing you can give someone is exactly what they want. Because, in my case, then I have to actually build it and support it and watch people run it in the wrong folder. In my last DWARF Mini video, which I'll have links to various places, I asked you all whether I should make one-click pre-processing script, and I was hoping to hear something. And if you guys want me to work on a one-click Siril script, let me know. I'll start putting that together. But that will take some work because I've never done one of those before. So yeah, I asked, you listened, and then responded in kind. So I made the script and I'm releasing it. Also, if you're coming in fresh, this is basically like part 3 of my DWARF Mini saga. I've got the EQ mode setup and race video, and I've got a 1-month review. And if you haven't seen those yet, they're linked in the description because they set the context for why I'm treating the DWARF Mini like a real astrophotography rig. Because here's the thing. The DWARF Mini creates real astro data. It creates not just pretty JPEGs that you can post to your Instagram. It does that exceptionally well. But it creates lights, which is the target images. It creates all of the calibration frames you would want. So biases, darks, and flats, like the stuff I'm painfully still learning on my higher end rigs that I build. Like I'm still just getting into the hang of even capturing those. And the DWARF Mini will capture those things automatically. But the DWARF Mini does have 2 cameras and multiple different filter modes, and you can change the gain and exposure like it's nothing. And if you want to process the data properly, you have to match the right calibration frames to the right light frames, and then apply those calibrations to hundreds of sub-exposures, and then register, and then stack. And only after all of that do you get to do the actual fun part. And that's why a script makes sense here, because the boring part is very repetitive and algorithmic, and it's where beginners like myself waste most of our time the next morning when we're trying to see like, okay, what did we get? Here's what my script does, or at least what I hope it does, and I'm looking for feedback. It works for me right now. You point it at your DWARF Mini target folder. So when you plug your DWARF in, one of the folders will be called Astronomy. You'll want to copy that over to your computer or your NAS. I have an upcoming video on NAS as a way to store all of our astrophotography stuff. So, get subscribed if you want to see that. But make a copy of your original data, specifically that astronomy folder. And then you run this script within Siril. It figures out which camera you used. So was it the telephoto or the wide angle, based on the folder naming and metadata, which DWARF is really awesome to include all that stuff in there. And then it matches the correct bias, darks, and flats based on all the parameters, like which filter, how much gain, what was your exposure time. And then it builds these master calibration frames, a bunch of stuff in the background. It then calibrates all the lights based on, so like it'll present you a list of all of the images that it sees in the astronomy folder. And you pick which one you want to process. It then does the calibration of the lights. It registers them, which means lining up all the stars so that they're all in the exact same place, and then stacks them, which is basically doing a bunch of math. And it leaves you with a final linear stack and the other intermediate files. So if you want to sort of inspect what it is that it did, learn, or tweak, you can in the future. But here's what it does not do. It does not try to be the artist. I'm not baking in my exact taste in stretching or star tools or final looks because I want you to play with that. If I baked all of that in, every image created would look how I want it to look, And really, I think astrophotography, there's a lot of art in it where you get to express yourself. And that's where the astrophotography can really become your image. And tools like auto background extraction, Hypermetric Stretch, Verilux, and Revela, they all come in handy, and I'll show you how I use them. But this script here will get you to a clean, fair starting line so that then you can drive. Quick safety thing, because this does matter, do not run this on the only copy of your data. This is a beta script. I haven't had it do anything weird to my data, but I would feel immensely bad if someone had some weird outlier and it just like nuked all of your data. So start with a copy of your astronomy folder. If anything goes sideways, the worst case should be, cool, I'll just delete the output folder and copy it over again. The script creates its own pre-processing folder next to your target, and it's designed to be repeatable. In a second, I'm going to run it live on screen so that you can see exactly what it creates. And after that, I'll show you the stacking demo again, because once you see what stacking does frame by frame, it might change how you plan out some of your nights. The setup is simple. Download the script from deepskylab.org, put it in your Siril scripts folder, and then restart Siril. Run the script, pick your target folder, so your astronomy folder, and pick how aggressive you want the keep rate to be. And basically what that is you almost always want to throw away at least some of your images, and that'll actually help the final quality. So if there was like guiding errors or a satellite or an airplane in the image, you're going to want to throw those away. And I'm trying to do that automatically here, at least based on the star size. So if like your tracking went weird and your stars got wide for a specific image, it'll help throw some of that away. So I would recommend keeping it at about 90% keep rate. Just leave it there and hit run. A quick note, if you're watching this and you don't own a DWARF Mini yet, there are links in the description to check out. Some of those are affiliate links, which basically means it helps to support the channel at no extra cost to you. I'm not charging for this script, and I never will. So if you want to find some cool way to support the channel, go buy yourself a telescope. But either way, the script works because DWARF saves, like I said, real subs and real calibration frames, and that's what we're leveraging. All right, let's run it. What I love here is you still control sort of two big beginner-friendly choices. Which data set am I processing out of everything that I captured? And how picky am I being about keeping subs? Because sometimes you want to keep 95% because let's say you're short on data and you happen to be in a really dark sky site. And sometimes you want to be ruthless because the seeing was really bad, or maybe half of your images got a tree in them. And so you want to be able to make that decision. And when it finishes, Siril will load that final stacked image automatically. So you're starting at a clean, calibrated, registered, linear image, which honestly looks underwhelming, and that's normal. Linear data always looks like someone photographed space through a dirty shower curtain, and this is what stretching is for. Real quick, let's talk about the why behind stacking, because if you understand this, you stop sort of chasing what the magic settings are and you start chasing like total usable exposure time. Every single subframe has signal, and it also has noise. Stacking is basically you saying, keep the stuff that's consistent and average out the randomness, which is all the noise. So the background you'll see gets smoother, and the faint nebulosity starts separating from the noise floor, and suddenly you start getting an image that you can actually work with. And this is why on Deep Sky Labs, I'm always talking about stuff like how many subs did you keep? What is your reject rate? And why more usable frames beats one perfect frame. It's about what you manage to capture throughout the night, because the sky is not exactly handing out perfect frames every single night. Okay, so what do you do with this linear stack? So here's my sort of beginner but real path. I start with background extraction to remove gradients. A lot of these are scripts that you can install. So this one that I like to use is AutoBGE. Then I'll do like a color calibration again, and yes, that means you usually have to plate solve it first. So you'll go in, you'll do your plate solving, and then color calibration. And we know that the sensor is a Sony IMX662. In case any of these UIs ask for it, you can actually enter in what the sensor is. I'll then do a gentle stretch to reveal some data. Although honestly, I'll usually nowadays start with the Verilux Hypermetric Stretch script, just on the defaults. Make sure to select the sensor we're using. And then you can start experimenting with fun stuff like Revela, which boosts contrast in nebulosity. You can start doing some denoising if you want to try and bring the noise out, or sharpening if you want to try and enhance some of the edge features. At this point, it's whatever your taste is. And because you've got this like nice good stacked image, you can play around. And if you don't like it, you can always click undo. And I intentionally didn't lock all of these things into the script because, like I said, I don't want you to copy my taste. I want you to learn what your taste is. Also, I'm going to give you a quick tour of what the script outputs here. This is the part, I care about for beginners. You can actually see the pipeline. You can stop after calibration and inspect the frames. You can see what the registration did. And if you really want to, you can actually restack these with your own settings because it saves the sequence files. It's not a black box. It's just automation based on my best guess of what most of us should do. And it's a sort of decoding of what all of the folders within the cal_frame is. So if you want it, like I said, go to deepskylab.org. And there you'll find the script download. It should be up by, if not right when this video is published, the morning after. You'll find the script download, written step-by-step instructions, and then a link back to this video so that you're not having to hunt around later. And if you run into issues, there's also a way to send feedback because I'm sure we're going to discover, new dwarf folder weirdness together as there's updates. Just make a post within the Deep Sky Lab YouTube community posts or come find me on Astroworld TV's Discord. The verdict? If you're using a DWARF Mini and you want to process your subs in Siril without losing your mind and spending your entire life matching calibration frames, this will save you time. It'll reduce mistakes and it'll get you to the part that you can actually learn and the part that I think is the real art. And if you do want me to add features like maybe different stacking strategies or different quality filters, tell me what you want down in the comments down below. And more importantly, tell me why you want it. We can have a discussion and I'm more than happy to make updates to this as the channel goes on. Because on this channel, we're not doing because I said so. We're trying to do because the data says so. The next time you'll see the DWARF Mini is actually going to be in a comparison shootout between the DWARF Mini and this really cool new tiny camera lens / telescope that I got sent by SV Boney because I'm trying to build the smallest travel astrophotography rig possible that isn't a smart scope. So get subscribed and you'll hopefully see that video sometime in the next couple weeks. Clear skies. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.